Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is JD Moonen. I'm coming at you guys with another video. This time it's going to be a little bit different about what we're going to talk about today. But anyways, it's good to see you guys. Hope everybody's doing good. I am doing much better. I've for the most part recovered. I feel great. I feel like I look great. It's just all around. I'm doing much better. Given the circumstances, I'm hopeful. I think everything's going to work out the way it should. I think everything's going to be good. As you guys know, for those of you who don't know, I could be facing an eviction here at my apartment. When I moved in here back in March, I went back to the same company I was with prior, and that company, they broke the law multiple times. They shit-canned me for a discrimination that they were doing, and this time I asked for an accommodation form, and then they fired me the next day. So that would kind of sent me in panic mode for a minute, especially because it was just a year, just a few days ago that my grandmother died. So we haven't even hit a full year yet since her funeral. I went through a really, really, really hard last couple of years. For those of you who've been there and followed everything I've been going through, I just want to say I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for being there and supporting me and my content, everything that I've done over the years. I've worked very hard for what I had achieved before I met my ex and before my grandmother got sick. Now here we are. I'm on the precipice of this is a new beginning. Basically, I've got new knowledge. I've been studying stuff. I'm here to present something to the world that I think is going to be very awesome. I'm very excited to present it, and I think that the world's going to really, really get something from it. Personally, I moved away from video games. As you guys know, I'm not really my thing anymore. Video games were an addiction for me. They were an escape from reality. But I actually rather enjoy reality. I like being here. Being a seer, I love being in reality because reality is just as cool as a video game. So without any further ado, I want to kind of jump into what I want to talk about today. Before I do that, I want to remind you guys to don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Hit that bell notification if you like the content you're going to experience here today. I go over all kinds of topics. I'm into all kinds of stuff. I'm very much into esoteric knowledge, and I've always rooted for the underdog. You know what I mean? But I'm really, really big on esoteric knowledge, occult sciences, occult knowledge, as well as I'm very, very big on studying religions. I've studied a lot of religions, and I've always found it kind of fascinating how they were all very similar. Pretty much they're all almost identical in some manner. So what I'm going to present today is I'm going to present to you what consciousness is, the origins of consciousness. It's something that science has been trying to figure out for a long time. And there's a very big disconnect. And the first thing that needs to be understood is the history between science and the church when it comes to consciousness. So when you look at our psychiatric medications, our psychiatric care, just our treatments for psychiatry and psychology, they are primitive. And what I mean by this is they are still calling personality traits or defense mechanisms of the brain personality disorders and also mood disorders, mental disorders of some kind. They're also calling things that would be considered gifts in the spiritual community. Like if they knew that all of us seers heard a voice in our head, they would say that we're schizophrenic. But we're not schizophrenic, okay? I've got bipolar. I know what it's like to have an episode and have auditory hallucinations. But when I hear spirit in my head, that's not the same thing. That's like an inner monologue that every person gets when they read a book. Everybody gets an inner monologue. Well, that's what you hear when you're talking to spirit in your mind. You hear it in the same way. And so that's why there's a level. That's like, for me, I use a coin, right? This coin that you guys always see me with, right? This coin. this 1927 silver Liberty. This coin is what I use to ensure that what I'm hearing in my mind isn't my ego, but is in fact spirit. And so that's how you decipher those differences. Now, what's very interesting is I want to talk to you about how the origins of consciousness can be found. There's 3 notable documents that I want to make known to you today. Okay? The first one is going to be the Tarot of the Bohemian, and this is written by Papists. Okay? Another great place to go, so we're going to expand on that. So we're going to give 2 underneath the tarot. So another great place to find information on consciousness, as well as the cyclical nature of the universe, would be Eliphas Levi, okay, or Eliphas Levi. He was very notable in the occult, the occult science information, the occult authors, okay. All of the Golden Dawn have a plethora of information on all occult sciences. Occult sciences are not evil. They're not crazy, and magic is real. Magic is just the conscious moving of energy, right? It's basically ushering energy into manifesting it in a specific way into the third dimension, the 3D realm, by using chronos, time. Okay? What's very interesting here is then you have the next document that I'm going to tell you guys about is going to be by somebody by the name of Wittvan. Wittvan also has a lecture that's written by Gerald Massey back in, ironically enough, 100 years prior to my birth, okay? Gerald Massey gave this very lecture about the similarities of religion and what it is to understand mystical text, okay? To understand that mystical text is encryption. It is not to be taken in the literal. In other words, the stories that you hear in religions, they're not real. Christ is not real, okay? Christ consciousness that everybody talks about and all that stuff, right? That's a concept. It's not real. Okay? Consciousness is real. Okay? The unknown God is real. Okay? But all of these doctrines that we have are not real. Any God that would tell you to commit an act of any kind of evil, or that would force you into loving them out of fear, that sounds like a narcissist, okay? And I'm sorry, but I'm not following that God, and I want nothing to fucking do with that dude. Straight up. Okay? What you need to understand is, with a lot of thought into what consciousness is, and I will tell you what consciousness is and where you can even see its evolution in our science today. Like we have documents that show the evolution of consciousness, or Christ, whatever you would like to call it, okay? The thing that you are. Okay? What is very interesting about this is if you look at the periodic table of elements, you'll notice that with atoms, okay, atoms work in this way. You have only one atom that does not have a neutron. That atom is called hydrogen. This atom is known as the foundations, the building blocks of the universe, of matter specifically. What's very interesting about this is, so mother, okay, we'll say mother here. Mother is known as negative energy. Now, that's not to get it misconstrued with the negative connotation that we all have a bias about, that we believe is negative. Negative energy means it's attracting energy. It's energy that's pulling something into it. That's why it's also known in spirituality, the divine feminine is attracting things. That is what the law of attraction is about. It's about embracing your negative energy, your ability to be a magnet, okay, to attract what you picture in your mind. Okay, that is what it is to be a divine feminine. A divine masculine goes and gets what they are trying to achieve. That is father. Okay, so when father and mother meet, right, they meet, they're inherently unstable together by themselves. This can be true, this can be said also when you look at relationships. Okay, if you notice, everything is a trinity. Everything in life. whether it's a relationship, whether it's the government, whether it's, doesn't matter. It's all three. That's why Tesla said, if you learn the significance of 369, you will have the key to the universe. Okay? The reason why this is important is because it's a 3. 3 is very important. That's why the holy number is 3, right? It's because the Trinity is talking about your consciousness. So say this right here is your consciousness, okay? Say this little circle on my finger, okay? This is consciousness. Well, so right around this, we have this figure 8, okay? So we have a figure 8, and it's going to be, that's what is the infinity symbol, okay? So the infinity symbol is going to be going around this fixture of consciousness, okay, in a figure 8. So imagine you come up here into a higher realm of existence, and then you come down into a lower realm of existence, which is where you're at right now. So right now, we're in the lower realm of existence, which is the material existence. Okay, that is the lowest manifestation of self. And then we come back up into the higher manifestations of self, into the spirit, okay, the spiritual realm, the realm where we don't have these physical bodies. We have like it's like an astral body, if you will. This is known in Hermetic philosophies. Well, what's interesting is all three of these documents that I've just, the third one being the Timaeus, okay, Timaeus by Plato, explains the Trinity in the fixation of consciousness, and how when you die here, you go into another realm. So basically, you're never not living life. You're living life either in the higher realm or the lower realm. The higher realm or the lower realm. You never experience a period of nothing because you aren't nothing. You can never experience nothing. What that means is that in philosophy, it's already known that nothing cannot be something, just like something cannot be nothing. Okay? Because something is already something and nothing is already nothing. Not only that, but there is no such thing as nothing. No thing does not exist. That is a way of talking. Okay? Because it's very interesting when Einstein figured out E equals mc squared, okay, and found out the whole entire universe is energy. When he postulated this and he asserted that fact, what he did was he ended perhaps one of the longest running arguments in philosophy, yet it's still going on today and I can't understand why. The longest running arguments in philosophy, one of it being, it was, what is the universe made up of? One substance or multiple? Well, he just told you. It's one substance. That means everything is one thing. So that means the Taoists were correct. The Taoists already knew that. That's what the yin yang is all about. They already knew that everything is one thing. So duality is inherently a fallacy. Okay? It's an illusion. There is no such thing as self and other. Okay? It's all one thing. It's just got a different way of looking or appearing in the soup that we call consciousness, that we call God, life, universe. Okay, God is the universe. That's mother and father together. That's negative and positive energy. That's our mom and dad. That's our true mom and dad. And Christ, who's talked about in the Christian faith, Christ is the harmonizing element that holds it all together. That's also known as the neutron. So if you look at the elements that are stable, they have a neutron. And what's interesting about this as well is that you can have too much love on an atom and it will degrade. It puts off this radiation. It's almost like, you know, somebody who's overbearing with love, right? They're like, it's like, whoa, you know, there's got to be like this perfect balance of love, you know, and that's also true with the elements on the periodic table. So the way that we feel in relationship to each other is the way that the universe actually works as a whole. It's beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever gotten the opportunity of studying and learning and realizing what it actually is. So what I've come to postulate, what I've come to find out was that consciousness itself puts off an energy that we all feel. Because I've often wondered to myself and wanted to know, why does love hurt so bad but feel so good, right? Why do we need love, but yet we're all afraid of it? It is the most powerful feeling because I want to assert the fact that it's not an emotion, it's all of our emotions put into one thing. but it is the harmonizing energy of the universe itself. And what I mean by that is the most harmonizing thing in the universe is love. It's compassion. It's empathy. Those all are love. Those are love. It's forgiveness. Those things fall under love. Love is both attracting and it can be repulsive. At the same time, it can cause wars and it can stop them. Love is the harmonizing element of the universe. It is the neutral. It is the neutron. So the next time you look at the periodic table of elements, what I want you to do is I want you to look at those elements and I want you to see that neutron there. And I want you to know that that's love. And that's you. That's you. That's the real you. The neutron. The neutral element. The thing that harmonizes the whole universe. The thing that holds it together as one thing, this beautiful piece and work of art. And when you get a chance, you should really go check out the Timaeus written by Plato about Socrates and his conversation about Solon, a statesman that went to Egypt and learned from the priesthood about the knowledge of Atlantis. Atlantis is not fictitious. It was real. I also assert the notion that Atlantis was destroyed by the meteorite that struck the North American ice sheet. Because I have looked at the map and I believe that where that meteorite struck was the Hudson Bay. And I think that Atlantis, if you follow what they said, it's literally directly west of the Straits of Gibraltar, right outside of the Pillars of Hercules. Well, if you look on a map and you go straight to the west, it nails you right there in Hudson Bay. So, and what do you know? What's Hudson Bay? A big impact crater. So I find that very interesting. That's my theory. Anybody who wants to say any theories on that, I'm all open to it. But I will not ever say that Atlantis didn't exist, because it did. Okay? And I'm sorry, guys. Plato was telling a fiction? No, Plato said a fiction whenever he said the allegory of the cave. And he specifically said it's an allegory because it's not real. It's him literally presenting an imaginary situation for this one in particular philosophy, and he states it at the beginning of the philosophy. Nowhere in any of these conversations that Socrates had, ever, did Plato say this is a fiction. Because they weren't. They really happened. Socrates really talked to those people, and Atlantis really existed, and it was destroyed. That being said, you'll find some very, very awesome things if you go study the occult. Today, I feel like it's necessary for people to understand what consciousness is, because in order for us to expand any further with technology, we have to understand consciousness. How can we recreate consciousness if we don't even know what it is ourselves? I think it's time that we re-look at our psychiatric care for mental conditions. I think it's time that we take a look at psychology as a whole, because we really don't understand it. I personally feel that they're still calling personality traits that people have, certain defense mechanisms that people have because of trauma they've dealt with in their life, as mental problems, as mental illnesses. Let me tell you, for one, if you have bipolar, you're not mentally ill. You have a gift. You have a gift from the divine. You can go into an episode, and if you learn how to gain control of these episodes and no longer go out and ruin your life out in the middle of the street or try and jump off of a 3-story building and think you can fly, which I've never done, by the way, then if you just go sit in your, in your garage like I did when I had an episode, when I have episodes, well, I don't really have episodes much anymore, but because I put mine in remission, something they said we couldn't do, right? I have bipolar 1. I haven't taken medication since lamotrigine almost killed me, or was on its way to killing me by giving me what's called a chemically induced meningitis. It does that, by the way. These medications are bad. If you look at the people that have killed themselves, they were medicated. The people with bipolar, they were medicated. It makes you a zombie. It destroys your short-term memory. It destroys your imagination. It destroys your ability to be creative. It completely zombifies you. And if you want my personal opinion, it's on purpose. Because people are jealous of people who don't have to conform. If you don't have to conform and you can be who you want to be, you're going to create some enemies. And naturally, that's all of us that are told we have mental illnesses. We're the unique ones. We're the ones that are different. We're the ones that think faster, better, more outside the box than everybody else. We're the ones who find out the crazy stuff that everybody thought was impossible. We're the ones who prove everything is possible. As soon as you release your limitations in life from your own subconscious, you will find that there is no limit to what you can do. That's infinite up there. And that's your barrier. There is no limit. You are that. Okay? So just keep that in mind the next time you're wondering what consciousness is. Next time you're wondering what love is. Understand that that's you. You are love. You are consciousness. And you are the thing that literally binds all matter together. You're that. How profound. So maybe you can get out of your own way now and realize you're God.